Hello, everyone. Jonathan Sarr with the Juvo Hub podcast, where learning leads. This is part 6 of an 8-part series on learning theories. My disclaimer, as in all the others, I am not an expert on learning theories, but I absolutely love to read about them and learn from others. That's why learning leads. We're all learners, and I hope you're benefiting. I'm sure you are from this series. I welcome any feedback on these topics or others that you would like me to bring out on this show. If you want to be on the show, reach out to me. Today, we are talking about metacognition. Metacognition. Now, when I first started reading this, I'm like, okay, wow. What a cool word, number one, which it's probably silly to say, but I thought it was a cool word. Metacognition. But when I started, doing a deep dive, it was a bit of a shock that this was a learning theory. Perhaps because I default to my own way of learning, which is reflection. I've done those different, learning style, learning, what your aptitude is, and it appears I'm just one of those individuals that does a lot of reflection on the moment, and then going back into any situation and seeing what I can learn from it. But that's not what all of us are. Some of us are theorists, pragmatists. Anyway. There's a bunch. That's not what the purpose of the show is. The purpose of this show is just talking about the fact that metacognition is something that is should be encouraged. And the simple definition is thinking about thinking. I'm like, really? Thinking about thinking. And so it's taking that time to reflect on any scenario, because every scenario is a learning opportunity in life. It doesn't matter if it's in a classroom or on an online course or something that happens at work or something that happens in our family. And the idea is what did we do with it? Did it change our behavior? Did it adjust our behavior? Did it improve our behavior? Did it help us retain information? Did it help with problem solving? And then taking that knowledge and now going into another situation, using that learning experience that will dictate a different outcome the next situation in life that relates to it. And we're not talking about the exact same situation. So what a cool concept. And do we talk about that with our team, with our students, with the ones that we work with on our learning and development? What are we doing within a session in order to promote that? So I got some deep resources that are going to be in the show notes. As usual, there's some like that super, super long, impactful, very detailed, like this one white paper I was reading from ResearchGate. Yeah, a ton of information. It will give you that deep dive into the science behind metacognition. Trainingindustry.com has a great article. I'm going to share that, as well as an article from the e-learning coach, because both of those articles really have a more application. So science is one. Yes, understand it. It's going to give you, it's really going to help us as educators when we think of how different people think. Think about how we think. Think about how other people think. How does that thinking about how they think going to make them think that they can do better in another situation? That was a lot of thinking. My head hurts just even saying it out loud. But that's good because I'm thinking. A little brain pain. It's all good. How does it apply at work? Don't think of this as, oh, this is one of those topics for college where you're getting into debatable topics and deep theory and contradictions and don't. That is where potentially it does have the application. But we are trying to teach, for example, like emotional intelligence. Ooh, that's such a big topic. I've had guests on the show that talked about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence parts and components are, in effect, metacognition. That's what they are. You are thinking about thinking. Like, what am I taking away from it? What is my thinking? What am I doing? How am I applying it? Awesome, great quotes through these articles. I'll let you take a look at them. I just wanted to take, again, as part of this series, to introduce another learning theory and where we as educators need to take the time to include that in our own education to make sure we understand its role in learning, learn reflection and self-assessment techniques. Like, how can we pass that on to our students? Well, we have to do it first, right? As an educator, do we understand what it is and be able to pass those experiences and benefits on to our students? And then in the way we train. So now, where does metacognition come into play? If you're looking at your module that you're about to teach and that word has never come up, well, I'm hoping that this session will make you stop and think, because it's definitely made me stop and think. Where does metacognition come into play with what I am teaching in any given scenario? And a couple of questions just to give some context and consideration to this topic. Why is reflection often overlooked in training? That's a good discussion question for you and your L&D team. How can feedback loops build self-awareness? And what are some simple ways to prompt reflection in short curriculum, short courses, online courses, in-person sessions? That's the goal. So just some things to think about. What an amazing learning theory to give special consideration to. Metacognition, developing metacognitive skills within our students. We want to teach reflection as a skill, deepen that application. So make sure you check out the show notes for some of these resources. And if you had feedback, comments about this particular topic, please share. If you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. If you're on the podcast, please give me a review. I would love your feedback, good, bad, or ugly. I'm learning. I love being on podcast. I'm on 3 total. This one is just one. But this is one that focuses on education and how we as educators can continue to help. And it's for students too, all of us, all learning. Anything about learning, that's what this show is about. So thank you for being here. Until next time, take care, everyone.